Today I'm going to be breaking down each and every support weapon in Helldivers 2 and ranking them on a tier list because no one has ever done that before. We're going to go alphabetically and we'll be using two tier lists, one for bugs and one for bots. These tier lists are meant for difficulty 7 and up. B tier is average, middle of the road, not bad, not great. S tier is overpowered, hard to justify other guns when these are here, and D is doggy. These just feel terrible. I'd rather use any other weapon, including my primary, than use these. Obvious disclaimer, you can do anything you want if that's what you want to do. Only using meta is for losers who don't know how to have fun. This is merely to educate how good some weapons can be if you haven't tried them, and because I like to share my opinions. So here's the completed tier list if that's all you're here for. The rest of the video is going to be me breaking down why I feel that way. Let's get into it. Anti-mat rifle up first. This gun has been looked down on by a lot of the community, and rightfully so, but thanks to the 20% damage buff, this has actually been brought back into a good spot. For the bots, like exclusively though. This gun needs distance to be useful and the bugs get on you too fast. So for the bugs, we're going to put it down in C tier just because it's not optimal, but it still kind of works. But with how many bugs you're going to be dealing with, I'd really prefer other weapons, and this gun can cause some frustration there. So C tier for the bugs. But for the bots, this is where this gun shines. Most enemies have medium armor and small weak spots, so this weapon actually performs well. For those unaware, 2 shots to a Hulk eye will kill it. It's hard to hit the shots on the Devastators, but it should take them down in 1 shot. If you use this weapon how you should and are good at it, it actually handles a lot of the irritating stuff with the bots really well. It works better if you're supporting a friend by taking out Hulks and Devastators while they kill the smaller ones. But solo is still nice, especially if you're capable of taking them out far away, because you can often clear out an entire place without them calling for backup. For bots, it's going to get an A tier, even though I would actually put its potential in an S tier. Realistically, it's not easy to always hit these small weak spots while they're moving, and requires a lot of skill and knowing to get it to work well. And if you're solo, you're really going to struggle once they get on top of you. Next, it's Democracy's gift, the Arc Thrower. Now listen, I may be biased, but there is not a better weapon for the bugs than the Arc Thrower. If you have 2 people with Arc Throwers, you can take out an entire bug breach before anything touches you, and that's just 2. If you had 4, oh man, you would just be unstoppable. The biggest issue with this gun is the friendly fire, but I'm here to tell you that that's just a skill issue. The Arc Thrower shoots very straight for the first 5 or so meters. Anyone who's tried to shoot a hunter that's right in front of them knows how accurate you have to be to hit them. So if you know how its jumping works, you don't shoot like directly at a teammate or a bug with a teammate behind them, you actually don't really have to worry about it. If you're lucky enough to have friends, you can also all wear the electrical armor and just not worry about it. What makes it so good is it's capable of killing literally everything, as well as being great for clearing smaller enemies. A lot of people sleep on this gun, but I'm trying to tell you to try it out. If you can get 2 people to use it, just watch how few bugs you really have to deal with. As an added bonus, the arcing shots often hit the small bugs behind the bigger ones, which prevent them from starting bug breaches. This gun is S tier for the bugs easily. It's the best weapon to bring against them, and if you have a rover guard dog with it, you can handle an entire horde just by yourself. Seriously, give it a try on the bugs. Now, for the bots, it's a different story. While it's not bad, it definitely takes some skill to make it work. That charge up time can often get you killed if you're not behind some cover, and the robots are often farther away from you, so you can't always hit them as easily. The stagger is nice because you can perma-stun some of the bots if there's only 3 or 4 if you have the upgrade, but it's really not ideal. It can work, and can work well in certain situations, but it's definitely not meta, so I'm just going to give it a B tier for the bots. It's not frustrating, but it's also not groundbreaking. Now onto the autocannon. This gun has a cult behind it, so I will speak carefully. I've seen the arguments for the autocannon, and I've seen that it's significantly better on the bots. However, it has 2 glaring issues for me. 1, it uses a backpack slot, which can be limiting when other great weapons like the Arc Thrower don't. 2, and I think this is the biggest problem, it can't break through heavy armor. You can use it on chargers and shoot the backs of their legs, and it works well, but when it comes to biles, well, you just bounce a lot of shots off them. This gun does have some other perks like blowing bug holes and spore spewers across the map, but a lot of other guns can do that and better. I would never slander the autocannon and call it bad, and I'm sure in the right hands, it's the weapon. But overall on the bugs, I just don't see anything special for the bugs. So I'm gonna give it a B tier. Slight disclaimer, I get most of my info from this gun from other people. If you think I've said anything wrong, please let me know in the comments because you're probably correct. Now onto the bots. This weapon has the exact same benefit as the anti-mat rifle. Medium pin, and for the same reasons, I'm gonna put this gun in A tier for the bots. This may be some bias because personally I don't vibe with the needing a backpack, so I won't put it in S tier, but I think the fan club might disagree. And honestly, maybe they're right. This is just my current opinion, so we're gonna put it in A tier for the bots. Let me know if I'm wrong. Now, the Expendable Anti-Tank, or the EAT, and boy, does it. This gun is slept on pretty heavy by some. For the bugs, it's capable of one-shotting a charger if you hit it square in the mouth, and with a 1 minute cooldown time for 2 shots, this is solid. No matter what you hit, this gun will do damage because it's explosive. You can also use it to hit spore spewers long range, close bug holes. This gun is best used in tandem with another gun you like for clearing smaller bugs, like the Rampart. You would use the Rampart, and when you see a heavy, you call down the EATs, shoot both of them, and then pick up the Rampart again. While it works okay as your only support weapon, I think it's definitely better when it's paired. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure you can one-shot a Hulk with one of these if you hit it directly in the eye. It's overall just very reliable, and with such a short cooldown, it's very consistent and definitely slept on. I'm gonna put it in A for both lists. I'm not sure if I would put it above or below the anti-mat or the autocannon, so I will just say no particular order for this one. Next up, the flamethrower. Immediately D tier for the bots. I don't know if you've used it on the bots, but it is terrible. I would just rather use my primary than the flamethrower. Maybe it is better with the new upgrade, I don't know. But my thinking is that the bots are very weak spot oriented and the flamethrower just is not that. Now, for the bugs, it feels decent. I feel like it has more friendly fire issues than any other weapon, and its damage output with no stagger is really not enough to keep you from being overrun. It's pretty solid in ideal situations, but we both know that ideal situations are a luxury in this game. I've heard the ship upgrade makes the fire cook, so I'll give it a B for the bugs. I think its friendly fire potential and no stagger limit kind of limit its potential, but perhaps with the upgrades it's worth it. Grenade launcher. This thing was my best friend in the early days. If you're one who likes to wander off alone, this gun works pretty well, clearing bug holes from far away without a backpack slot. I am afraid that power creep has kinda left it behind. It's still good at clearing lots of small bugs and does good damage to medium enemies. It's about useless against the heavies, but I do have a soft spot for it. I can still see where it has its use cases, so I'm gonna give it a B tier for the bugs and the bots. For the bots, it does a good job at handling devastators and walkers, but it lost some of its value with the grenade pistol and the Quasar Rifle in my opinion, so B tier. Heavy machine gun, or HMG. To save everyone some time, I'm going to group the machine guns together. The HMG, the machine gun, and the Stalwart. For me, these guns don't have too much of a place in the current meta, but if you're going to use one, I prefer the Stalwart. But I have heard the HMG actually has some uses. If you're interested in a more deep dive of the comparisons, I will link a video to a very solid breakdown done by another YouTuber. Should be on the screen now. Now, I can't really recommend any of these because they behave more like beefed up primaries than support weapons, but if you were to mix them with the EATs, then you actually have a pretty solid combo. Ideally, it's a little complicated and leaves you without a backpack, but the synergy is very good, and if a teammate gives you a backpack, then you're chilling. I'm going to put them in C tier for the bugs and bots. I think at lower difficulties, they're really good and a lot more fun because you don't have to deal with as many heavies. But above 7, you require another weapon to make up for the shortcomings of it, and usually your primary makes up for the shortcomings of the support weapon, not the other way around. So C tier for all of these if you have a synergy. I would actually argue maybe it could be A tier if you really got that synergy going well. The Quasar Rifle. Oh man. I feel nude when I don't have this weapon on the bots, not just for the enemies, but also for all the turrets around the map. 2 shots from this will kill any standing turret, and I think 1 shot to the weak spot will kill mortars. If not, then it's 2 at the most. This gun 1-shots hulks to the eye, and I think 2 shots tanks to the weak spot. This gun is like the EAT, but you get to shoot it again every 5 seconds. This gun blows all other explosives out of the water for me, and you don't even need a backpack. For bugs, it's still solid, but it does suffer from only getting one shot every 5 seconds because they run at you, unlike the bots that are pretty slow and stay back usually. But it once again hurts anything you shoot it at and can one-shot chargers. I think because of the nature of the 5-second cooldown, this performs slightly worse than the EATs below 7, but on 9, I think having more than 2 shots a minute really puts it above the EATs. I prefer the Quasar just because nothing feels worse than calling down an EAT and having the call-in time increased by 50% so it doesn't come down in time and then you don't get to use it, and you gotta wait a whole other minute and all that. But you can always check the modifier before you start the dive and make sure that doesn't happen. But if you're lazy like me, you know, I think this one just kind of comes down to preference possibly. But for me, the Quasar is the S tier gun of the bots. Having multiple shots per minute feels so essential against them, especially when you have 2 Hulks coming at you and a walking bot factory behind them. The EATs just aren't gonna cut it. So it's an S on bots and an A on the bugs. Next up, the railgun. You guys remember this one? Haven't seen one of these since the nerfs. While I agreed with the nerfs in the beginning, now I see 0 reasons to choose this over the Quasar. Getting the 95% charge or whatever you need is too difficult for the average player to do consistently. I'm not sure what they could do to bring this back into relevance, but I feel like it falls short of so many other guns at this point. Maybe making the top 10% of the charge up make it explosive so it breaks bug holes and bot factories and other stuff, but either way, currently I think it's C or D tier. I think if you're really good with it, it could be like C tier, but I think for the average, or if you're just using it on safe mode, it's D tier. So we're gonna put it in D tier for the bugs and C tier for the robots because it does still have the medium pin, so it's kind of decent there, just worse than the other medium pins. And now the Recoilless Rifle. The more explosive but less consistent brother of the autocannon. This gun to me is useless. Why would you use this gun? Unless you want to, because that's valid. But it requires a backpack, it's got like 5 shots total, and you get 1 shot per long crouching reload unless you have a teammate to help you, which is kinda rare. And at that point, if both of you just used EATs or Quasars, you would output more consistent damage. I think the concept is really cool, but in practice it falls very short. I think the biggest constraint is that you only get like 5 shots total. If the backpack had like 10 or 15, I wouldn't think it's so bad. Like it wouldn't be great or anything, but at least you'd have the niche of a high fire rate explosive rocket launcher, right? But for me, this is in D tier for both the bots and the bugs. I just don't see the use for it really. Now last and just barely not least, the spear. Don't misunderstand me, I love the spear. Javelin rocket launchers are so sick, and the ability to break bot factories and one-shot biles with lucky/good aim is god tier. Its biggest issue, as anyone who has used it knows, it can only shoot when it's locked on, and the lock-on system is subpar. I think its ability to one-shot biles will make me put it in C tier for bugs, and its ability to kill bot factories, including jammers that have attached factories, puts it in C tier for the bots. If the lock-on system was perfect, I think it would be B tier. It still has a backpack issue. Personally, I think all backpack weapons should be objectively better than non-backpack weapons because of the extra constraint. I think the autocannon is great because its backpack holds so many shots. So why do the other ones only hold like 4? It's balance that I don't really understand. I won't claim to be an omnipotent game designer, but so C for the bugs and for the bots. If it was working perfectly as intended, I'd probably give it B. Just maybe A. If it had more bullets, probably A, but anyway. That's it for my tier list. Let me know what you disagree with below because let's be honest here. Now, remember what matters most is what you enjoy. Don't let a random guy on the internet tell you what you should and shouldn't use. It's your game and your time. Use it exactly how you want to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you.